Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the New Jersey Multi-Species Podcast. I am Joe Santiago. Here is my partner, Chris Pereira. Live episode special Shark Week. What's up? We are on the Jersey Shore Beach shark fishing. This episode is brought to you by Adam Mihara Fishing and AM Anglers and also Jan Pro. We'll get into that more later. We're getting ready to start fishing. They're setting the drones up to send the bait out. So I'm going to share the link. The link is up. The link is shareable. We are getting ready to send out some baits. So hello and welcome to an extension of episode 21. Me and Chris have just gotten home 2 days ago. As most of you saw on the live, we almost were killed in a storm. One of the worst storms we've ever been caught in. I'm going to introduce Wetside Sharkin's leader and owner, Louie Ramirez, who is sexy, by the way. He's here to help with the recap. This is basically a quick recap just for everyone who couldn't hear on the beach. We're going to run through what went down real fast just in case you couldn't hear.
And now, I just want to throw this out there. That storm, Louie hunkered down in a little child's tent for protection and stuck it out while we ran for the cars to wait it out. I mean, that was...
Well, he couldn't leave the... there was no way. You can't leave the rods out because they could get sucked in by a shark while you can't. So somebody had to stay.
Could you even see them, though, while you were there, like hunkering down, waiting?
I could see most of them except for Anthony's rod. That was the furthest one away. Is when the storm was coming through heavy. That was the only rod I couldn't see.
He could have retrieved it with his drone if he needed to.
Yeah.
Basically, Louie, the breakdown of when we went on our trip, it was basically me and you and Chris and the drone pilot. And then you had another two of your friends were kind of like fishing separately, right? Like they were there with us, but they're fishing on their own. They're not fishing like with the guide service.
Well, Brian definitely does. I'm actually, when we're done with the podcast, I'm going to meet up with him to go fishing for some bait tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Cool. Brian helps a lot. Like he'll jump in there and give us a hand. Sometimes if Anthony can't make it, Brian will come out with me. Or, the four of us all started sharking together. Alex has been working a lot more with a promotion at work, so he hasn't been able to get out as much. And me and Anthony had been late. I'm still currently laid off from my regular job. And Anthony was, so we took advantage of the time off. And we've been going shark fishing as much as possible. And still doing it as much as I can until I can't get out anymore.
How would you rate that night that we came? Was that a good night, a bad night, a slow night? What was it?
I would say that it was decent. I mean, there was nights when we went there and I didn't even have a chance to sit in my chair. It was like we'd land one, we'd get it back out, and then by the time I even walked back up by the beach cart, there's another rod going off, or people would double up at the same time, and it could get crazy out there. It depends on water temperatures, moon, and
yeah. I mean, I'm guessing we're kind of lucky that it was even pretty decent after that storm came through, because I don't know about shark fishing, but a lot of other fishing I do, a storm comes through like that. Yeah, if you were fishing before it started pushing through, you might get a good bite window. But afterwards, a lot of times it just sucks.
That was a relatively quick storm, but if it was like that all day, then yeah, it would have sucked because it puts a lot of fresh water in the water. It cools it down. It'll push them off and more offshore.
There's a lot of fresh water in Joe's wife's car. I can promise you that.
Oh, she was very upset with me. A lot of sand, a lot of wet sand in there too. She's like, "Why is everything soaked?" I'm like, you'll see.
Bad.
Just watch the video, you'll understand.
Yeah, it was bad.
Louie, I have a question to ask that's been bothering me. This is coming from me too, from my own opinion, with all these ridiculous laws and the way they're treating this. Now, I'm pretty certain that I could catch a sand tiger shark, tail rope it, tie it to the hitch of my truck, drag it 4 minutes down the road, and safely release it into the surf almost with no problem. Why is the government pretending that these things are like trout and they're washing up dead? Like, I don't see dead sharks we're getting calls of dead sharks all over the. I've never seen a dead shark on the beach ever. Where are all the dead sharks? What's going on with this, Lou? Really, what is this?
I don't know. I know that the sand tigers are federally protected, so they're considered vulnerable. The numbers that apparently have dwindled compared to recent years. Oops, hold on. I screwed that up. 1 second.
That's all right. Well, just to add to that, I think I've also seen that they claim that there's some kind of major vulnerability to the way they spawn or something along those lines. Basically, there's whatever is happening in the environment is affecting their spawning, and they're no longer spawning effectively or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that probably also has something to do with with the how often they spawn, and maybe the number of pups that they give birth to.
Do you believe that? Do you believe this mortality rate is so high that they say? Do you believe that?
I don't know if it's really a thing of me believing or not believing. I think it's more of I can almost guarantee you that there are sharks that die from people that don't know how to go about catching and releasing them the proper way, as opposed to, like they may go out there with gear that's too light and then they fight the shark for way too long. The shark gets filled up with lactic acid and then it dies, or they are using the wrong hooks and they gut hook them and they, you don't gut hook any fish.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. People fishing with too light a gear and I never thought of that.
Can you touch real quick on, just in case anyone missed it in the live feed, or the hooks and the rig that you use?
Yeah. All right. I make my own rigs. I use a size 18-aught inline circle hook, and I grind the barbs off for obvious reasons so that I can basically pull the hook out with my hand if need be. And I use about a foot of rubber coated cable, 275-pound test. And I go to a 6-aught barrel swivel. And then from there, I go to about 3 feet of 200-pound monofilament line with a sinker slide on it. That makes the whole thing about 4 feet long. A lot of other guys, sharkers, not everybody, but a lot of them, like when I first started, I was told, make your leader longer than the shark you're targeting, because the shark's skin is like sandpaper, and if it touches your braid, it's going to cut it.
Yeah.
And it's true. And for the longest time, I tried using shark leaders, cast out leaders that were like 8 feet long. Yeah, they're a pain in the ass to cast.
Yeah, you can't.
I wasn't getting any distance with them. So I made my leaders shorter, but to compensate for that, now I add on about anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of 100-pound mono to my main line with an FG knot. And then I just tie a 6-aught snap swivel on the end of that and just throw my leader right on there. So now I've got like anywhere from 10 to 14 feet of mono. So I don't have to worry about that at all.
So the shark, it'd have to be bigger than that to even have a chance of getting its tail on the braid.
Yeah, and this isn't Florida, so I don't have to worry.
If it does happen one day, it'll suck. But I think it's a pretty safe size for a leader there.
Yeah, definitely for a cast out.
So do you think, Louie, that like a person that wanted to get into this and start doing this, but they don't have a drone, I mean, is there a distance that they have to get to that they're not completely wasting their time? I mean, you have to find a cut or a drop off or something.
Yeah, I mean, the deeper the water, the better. I mean, a lot of sharks, they do come in and they feed in shallower water, but they the deeper the better. And you want to get past the breakers. You want to get past the sandbars. You know, the breakers that you're seeing is the incoming water hitting a sandbar and then creating a wave.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're just casting and you're finding the spot, you might have to walk out in the first, what they call a gut, like before the first breakers. You walk out as far as you can, cast it out past them out into like the calmer water, and then walk your line back. So that's me. You want to get out past the breakers. And I generally like to, no matter where I'm fishing, I generally like to fish somewhere around high tide. If I can get there maybe an hour or two before it and then fit into it and then fish the whole outgoing. And that's key also. Outgoing tide is good because it brings the scent of your bait out.
Okay.
Sharks have an extremely strong sense of smell. So that helps, especially if you're using a very smelly, greasy bait like dogfish.
Does it ever seem like the drone lines just completely outfish the casting lines?
Sometimes. But there's been a few nights where we've gone out and I didn't get anything on the drone lines and they were just in close and feeding.
Yeah, it's kind of like, any other kind of fishing. I mean, especially something where you're setting rods out, the more different things you could do, I feel like the better chance you have of doing the right thing, right? So
yeah. And I think a lot of it also might have to do with like if the shark are following the bait fish, like what they're feeding on, and if the bait fish are all in close, the sharks are going to come in close. So if there's like a whole bunch of, say, small mollusks close to shore, or there's like a school of squid or something in close, they're going to come in close.
All right. So the video is one's already out. Part 2's coming. I think the storm and the sharks are in part 2 and 3. There was 3 sharks caught total.
Yeah.
Lou, we had a great time. We want to thank you so much for making this all happen. We hope you like the videos that come out. And really awesome. Just wet side sharking. I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else you wanted to add to anything important that you thought we didn't hit on the live, or that maybe something you started talking about before the storm almost blew us off the beach?
Somebody asked about hook size and sinker size. On the droned out baits, I was using 10-ounce pyramid weights. And on the cast outs, I was using 8-ounce spider weights. The spider weights I use for the cast outs, I don't use them for the drone because if I don't get anything on a droned out bait at 200 yards out, I don't want to reel in a spider weight for 200 yards. That's going to be
just for anyone who doesn't know what that is. I think I've heard them called like Spudnik.
I call them Spudnik.
Basically, they have it's almost like a mini anchor, like with little arms on the weight, and then it kind of wedges itself into the sand, right? And then when you bring it in, the arms are supposed to swing out so you don't get stuck. But
that's depends on the style that you get. I make my own, so mine they just bend out and they stay out, which I kind of like that because I like to hang my bait from one of the legs while I'm casting to keep all the weight kind of centralized, so there's no propeller action or pendulum action when I'm casting.
All right, Louie, thank you so much, and it was awesome, man. I hope the video. I hope you like it.
Yeah, dude, we had an awesome time, and we got some awesome footage, and it's gonna be cool video for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Thank you, man.
All right,
take care, buddy.
Later.
Yeah, I am.
You want to just close out this like a regular episode, or
I could close this out if you want.
you didn't have anything else to
I could. You're going to leave that in?
No, they'll cut that little part out where we're.
All right. So,
like pretending he just left.
All right. Be quiet. All right. So that was Lou from Whiteside Sharkin'. Quite an adventure we had with him. Next episode is Captain Ron Santee, the captain of the fishermen. Yeah. We're very excited to have him on. Probably, if not the most famous party boat captain of the Atlantic Islands. The most known.
I think one of the most respected ones, and I mean, I'm not a big party boat guy, but if I'm going on a party boat,
it's usually him.
I'm trying to go.
If you fish the Atlantic Islands, you've at least seen him. I mean, everyone's seen Captain Ron's Fisherman. If you don't know Captain Ron's Fisherman, you've probably never been fishing before, and you're probably not watching this podcast. If you are, I don't know why you would be.
Do you think anyone watches this that doesn't fish and just like find?
I'm not sure, dude. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
If anyone's watching or listening to this podcast that has no interest in fishing, doesn't fish, just likes listening to us talk to each other, send us an email because you're a weirdo and we want to talk to you.
Yeah, we want to interview you. Also, you go on YouTube and you put in 2 people almost die in death storm. Like, they'll see us. It doesn't have to be a fishing fan. It could be anyone who likes seeing anyone die on video. Might be watching this. After Ron, we have our mystery guest. We're not revealing who the guest is until the show, but the guest is very exciting. But yeah, we are very excited to bring Captain Ron on. He's a fairly big guest for us, and that's going to be a really awesome show. The shark videos are continuing to just roll out slowly. I think episode 2 is out so far. There's 3 parts.
By the time this comes out, who knows? They might all 3 be out already, but it
is 3 parts. Yeah, 3 parts.
We took a lot of footage. Our producer Deuce, God bless him, he doesn't fish, so he's sorting through this fishing footage and he's making some awesome videos. And yes, there's 3 total. There's 3 parts. I know.
So it's not confusing. The lives are still up. You could actually still go back on and watch the lives, but Chris was wearing the GoPro for the duration of this. So anyone who's seen the live broadcast, if you now watch these 3 videos that are coming out, you'll see it from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
Like everyone who saw me getting waterboarded to death in the storm can now watch what happened to Chris in the storm from a different camera. So it's going to be pretty cool to see it from the GoPro. Obviously, the GoPro is better than my live stream phone.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the live stream is the live stream. It's unedited. It's just there. If that's what you wanted to see, that's what we gave you. I mean,
yeah, if you go to part 2 and fast forward to the end of part 2, you could see the storm blast me. And then if you go to the third
I'm in there for a bit too before it got really, really bad.
Oh, here's the other bonus. Listen. So if you go to the third one, that's where you're going to see the 2 sharks. But here's the bonus. So when after the live stream ended, we continued fishing with the GoPro, and a 3rd shark was caught. Not on the live stream, but on the GoPro, Chris. So there is a bonus shark on the GoPro footage, part 3.
I was there. Why are you trying to sell me on this? I'm not going to go watch it.
Well, you're a potential viewer. I mean,
no, I'm not. I was there. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, you might click it.
Maybe.
All right. Anyone who's watching this, please subscribe. There's almost 1,000 people in Mayhem. There's only 300 subscribers on YouTube and 300 followers on the Facebook page. So all of you that are members of Mayhem, you're all disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. It's one click. We do all this shit driving all over, getting killed by storm. You can't click on one thing for it's just ridiculous. Chris, you want to chime in on this?
I mean, for once, I'm gonna kind of agree with you. I mean, now we're risking our lives. We need something. We need a little bit of love.
We opened the Facebook site. We do all this shit. We're driving all over the place. We're giving away shit all over the place. We ask for nothing except you to click 2 things, and you won't fucking do it. You're all just disgraceful. It's unbelievable, you people. That's it. I've had enough. Good night. I'm done. Good night. See ya. Going to bed.
All right. See you next time.